Hey guys, welcome to another episode in our video series, Writers MD, where we answer the top questions asked and the top questions that should be asked by doctoral students who want to write quality dissertations in 6 months or less. In today's video, we'll be talking about how to write an abstract for a dissertation. The main purpose of an abstract is to give the reader a clear idea on what your research paper is about, or in other words, to help them to decide whether or not to read the entire dissertation. Imagine for a second paying for and downloading a 100-page dissertation on what you believe is relevant to your research topic, only to find out later that it's about something different entirely. Towards this end, and because abstracts sometimes touch on the results of your paper, researchers and students can see right away by viewing your abstract if it is exactly what they're looking for and if it's worthy of a citation to support their own research or their dissertation. So, what is an abstract? An abstract is a self-contained summary of a larger piece of work. And for the purpose of this video, we're talking about a dissertation. Usually situated at the beginning of the paper or the dissertation, the abstract is meant to preview the bigger document. This helps readers and others to understand and to find what they're looking for and to understand the magnitude of what's being discussed in that particular paper. How long should an abstract be? Well, abstracts are typically 100 to 250 words and comprise of 1 or 2 paragraphs. However, more complex papers require more complex abstracts. So you may need to stretch it out to cover everything that needs to be included in that abstract. So it's not uncommon to see abstracts that fill an entire page, especially in an advanced scientific work. So how do you write an abstract? Because of their specific requirements, it's best to know a little about how to write an abstract before actually going about it. So first, let's take a look at the various types of abstracts. There are 2 main types of abstracts. First, you have informative, and then you have descriptive. Most abstracts fall into the informative category, with descriptive abstracts being reserved for less formal papers. Informative abstracts discuss all the need-to-know details of your paper, your purpose, your method, your scope, results, and then your conclusion. They're the go-to format for scientific and research papers. Informative abstracts also attempt to outline the entire paper without going into specifics. They're usually written for quick reference, favor efficiency over style, and they tend to lack personality. Then you have descriptive abstracts. Descriptive abstracts are a little more personable and focus more on enticing readers. They don't care as much for data and details, but instead read more like overviews that don't give too much away. Think of descriptive abstracts like a synopsis on the back of a book. Because they don't delve too deep, descriptive abstracts are usually, in most cases, shorter than informative abstracts, more so closer to 100 words and in a single paragraph. In particular, they don't cover areas like results or conclusions. You have to read, in this case, you have to read the paper or the dissertation to satisfy, or the paper to satisfy your curiosity. Since they're so informal, descriptive abstracts are more at home in artistic criticisms and entertaining papers than they are in scientific articles. So what do you include in the abstract? As part of a formal document, informative abstracts adhere to more scientific and data-based structures. Like the paper itself, abstracts should include all of the IMRAD elements. I for introduction, M for methods, R for results, and D for discussion. This handy acronym is a great way to remember what parts to include in your abstract. There are some other areas you might need as well, which we will also explain here in this video. So first you have the introduction. This is the beginning of your abstract, which should provide a broad overview of the entire project, just like your thesis statement. You can also use this particular section of your abstract to write out your hypothesis or your research question. In the 1 or 2 sentences at the top of this abstract, you want to disclose the purpose of your paper, such as what problem it attempts to solve and why the reader should be interested in the first place. You'll also need to explain the context surrounding it, including any historical references. Then you have the methods. This section covers the methodology of your research, or how you collected the data. This is crucial for verifying the credibility of your paper. Abstracts with no methodology or suspicious methods likely won't be taken seriously by the scientific community, so you want to pay close attention to this aspect. If you're using original research, you should also disclose which analytical methods you use to collect your data, including descriptions of instruments, software, or even participants. If you're expounding on previous data, this is a good place to cite which data and from where to avoid plagiarism. Then you have results. For informative abstracts, it's okay to quote unquote give away the ending. In 1 or 2 sentences, you want to summarize the results of your paper and the conclusive outcome of your research. Remember that the goal of most abstracts is to inform, not to entice. So mentioning your results here can help others to better classify and categorize your research or your paper. This is often the biggest section of your abstract, by the way, also. It involves most of the concrete details surrounding your paper. So don't be afraid to give it an extra sentence or two compared to the other sections. Then you have the discussion. The discussion section explains the ultimate conclusion and its ramifications on the research. Based on the data and examination, what can we take away from this paper is a key question. The discussion section often goes beyond the scope of the project itself, including the implications of the research or what it adds to its field as a whole. Then you have other inclusions aside from the IMRAD aspects of your abstract. So some of these following areas include things like keywords, things such as hashtags for research papers, and also keywords that list out topics discussed in your paper. And the reason for this is so that people who are interested in your research can easily find the various elements of your, the various aspects of your research that are included in your abstract. Then you have ethical concerns. If your research deals with ethically gray areas, such as testing on animals, you may want to point out any concerns here at this point of your abstract, or issue reassurances. Then you have consequences. If your research disproves or challenges a popular theory or belief, it's good to mention that here in the abstract, especially if you have new evidence to back it up. Then you have conflicts of interest or disclosures. Although different forums have different rules on disclosing conflicts of interest, it's generally best to mention them in your abstract. For example, maybe you received funding from a biased party. If you're ever in doubt about what to include in your abstract, just remember that it should act as what I would like to describe as a succinct summary of your entire paper. Include all the relevant points, but only the highlights. If you enjoyed this information and would like to receive 20 free videos of the answers to the top problems that doctoral students usually face while writing a dissertation, along with a free copy of the webinar where I have given important tips and strategies that could help you write your dissertation in as little as 6 months, please visit www.writerser.com/free, and I also have provided that in the description below.